So we have different types of methods, right? Different types of methods we have created. Okay, in last class we just discussed. So constructor we have discussed, and also wrapper classes we have discussed. So today's topic is chaining of methods. Method chaining. Okay. So you will link one method to another method. That is called chaining. Okay. You will link one method to another method to another method. Like that, you will link the methods. Okay. That is called chaining of methods. Suppose you have multiple methods like this. Okay. This method you will link to subtraction. Subtraction will link to multiplication. Multiplication will link to division. Like that, you can provide the link between the methods. Okay, so how to do that? Okay, let me create one example to do that chaining of methods. I'm creating one new class. Class name is first name class or personal details. Personal details. Okay. Finish it. Just personal details. What I'm creating is okay, string first name string last name. String first name and string last name. Okay. So generally, how we do is, so whenever we create variables, okay, what we can do with the variables? In the variables, we can store the data and we can perform the operations, right? So to store the data, to set the data to your variables, okay, we create a separate methods generally. How we created the constructor. Okay, those we call it as setters. If you want to get the same data which you assign to your variables, okay, that we call it as getters. Okay, setters and getters. Okay, so we have one second. For setters and getters, we have one shortcut key. I'm checking for that. Yeah, Alt Shift S. Okay, Alt Shift S. Control Alt Shift S. If you press Alt Shift S, okay, so here you will get generate getters and setters. Generate getters and setters. So for all your variables, it is asking. Okay, both setters and getters. Yes, it will create the methods. Simply say it creates the methods to set the name. This is to get the name. Okay, first let me write in a order. One is to set the name. Okay, one is to set the first name and one is to get the first name. One is to set the last name and another one is to get the last name. Okay. So when I call get name, it is returning string, last name or first name. So when I call set first name, it is not returning anything, right? Is it returning anything? It is not returning anything. So in this case, what you can do is to this personal details. you can return this keyword. You can return this keyword. What is this keyword? What it is representing? It is always represents the object of a class, current object of a class. Suppose when you create the object for this class, when you call this method, set first method, this keyword will represent to this particular class. Okay. Suppose let me create a main method here. Let me create personal details. This is you created. So when you call set first name method, set first name method, what happens? Set first name method. So this object is created. So to represent this object in background, this keyword will work, right? Okay, so now what you can do is, if you want, you can return that object with the same method. Okay, not only a value, not only a string or integer or float, not only a primitive type values. Okay, here we have written primitive type of values, like where we discussed this calculator or somewhere arithmetic operations, somewhere we have written the return types. So here I have written return type integer. Okay, so here int, int, int. We are returning the values. Okay, so instead of returning it, if you don't want to return anything, what you can do is you can return your class object directly with the help of this keyword. Okay, when you return this keyword, when I call this method, what happens? Suppose if I call this getName method, if I call this getName method, it is returning the string, right? It is returning the string. With this name, it will store the string value that you can get it. That you can get it. So here, if I call getName methods, set first name method. Okay, let me set first name as some Ram. If I set it, this statement will be executed. So in this first name, Ram will be assigned and it will return this personal details object. Okay, so if you want to store that object, how you have to, like how you need to store? Again, you have to store like this. You have to store like this, because from here you are getting the object, the same object. From PD, how you are getting? Suppose let's take example. This you can assign like this. This is a object. This is the reference of that object that you are assigning to PD2, which means PD and PD2 referring the same object in the backend. Similarly, when you call the set first name method, it is also returning the same object. It is also returning the same object. It is also returning the same object that you can store. Are you getting or not? Okay, so we can also return this keyword directly from our method whenever, like, we don't want to return anything. That time you can return your class object, class current object. Okay, and one more thing, let me explain this. Okay, before explaining this, so if you want to call this set first name method, what you are doing, you are creating one object, you are providing the reference to it, and then with the reference you are calling this method, right? So instead of it, how we can do is how we can do is directly we can create the object. Kalyan, don't do the tries here. Concentrate on class. Okay, so you can directly create the object. From the object you can directly call the method. Okay, you can directly call the method. No need of reference. But the problem is, suppose if I call the second method like this, if I call second method like this, again one more object will be created in the backend. So every time when you use this notation in backend, one new object will be created in the backend. Okay, suppose if you create a object, so you have some variables. First name, you have assigned it as some first name is there. Then you have last name. Methods set first name, set last name, get first name. So get last name you have will be created. So if you are giving, so this is the type of personal details object in the backend. And you are giving the reference as PD. Okay, so basically PD, you are giving the reference. So you are linking this PD with this object. Okay, you are referring with this reference variable. But in between, one more thing happens. Okay, generally, when you create the object, okay, when you create the object, so object will be created like your package name. My package name is encapsulation dot your class name at the rate some alphanumeric code in the backend will be created. Okay, this value, generally this code represent this object, so what we are doing here is, so this particular code we are assigning to your reference variable. Okay, when I call any method from PD, first what it will do is it takes the address of this object. From this address, from this memory address, it will call the one by one method. So let me show you that practically. Suppose if I print PD2, or let me create fresh PD object. If I print PD, PD. Okay, so what is the value it is getting? Let's see. See, your package name, class name at the rate some alphanumeric value. So it allocates the memory for your object. For that object, it creates the address. Okay, that address is this one that you are storing into P. When you create like this, address will be stored into this particular variable. With that address, with that memory address, you are able to call the methods. From that address, you are calling the methods. Okay, so here when you create like this, okay, so entire data will be stored into this particular memory address location. Then you are able to call. Again, if I create one more object, okay, pd4, if I print it, so one more memory will be allocated. One more memory will be allocated with the same copy. Okay, so here the generated address, let me take, so to avoid confusion. Okay, so you assign this PD to your address. Okay, again, one more copy will be allocated here when you create one more object. So when you run it, so one more address is created. This is the new address. If you observe the last, the 7 digits, 7 or 8 digits, these are different. Okay, like this, one more object is created. So if you want, okay, without allocating, without assigning this reference, what you can do is, once this object is created with this address, with this address, you can directly call the methods. No need to assign this particular variable. Okay, so let me do that. What I want to do is, so instead of creating this, okay, instead of assigning this values, okay, here in PD2, what I'm doing, I created the object. Okay, so let me store this. Here, what I want to do is, I want to create object. Yes, for creating the object, you have this notation. Okay, so here, I don't want to assign any reference. I don't want to assign any reference. I don't want to assign any reference, which means I'm removing this. I'm removing this. So now address is representing this object. So directly, I can call methods with this address. With this address, I can directly call variables and methods from this object. Okay, so in this place, address will come. From this address, you are accessing the methods and variables. You can access the method and variables. But here the problem is, suppose if you want to use the notation to set the last name, instead of first name, I want to set the last name. Okay, first name I already set. So last name, let me give as Kumar. So here what happens is, in the first case, Ram will be assigned to first name. In second case, one more object will be created. One more object will be created with a different address. with a different address, and ram will not be assigned into this object because it is a separate object, and last name will be assigned as Kumar. One more object will be created. Now again, if you want to fetch the ram, there is no reference. Again, if you create one more object to get the first name or last name, okay, what you have to do? Again, you have to create one more object. In that case, when you get ram, so for explanation, what I'm doing is, okay, I have set this like this. So now I want to call get name. When I call get name, what it is giving? Get first name. It is returning the first name. So we already set the first name. We already set the last name. When I call the get name, it has to return Ram. When I call the last name, it has to return Kumar. But let's see if I call the get name, get first name, it is returning a string. If you want, you can store into the string. Again, you can give local variable name as first name. Okay, so if you want to print it, you can directly print it. Okay, first name. So you already set some value, Ram. So it has to print the Ram. Okay, so instead of storing this return value into some string, instead of printing like this, what you can do is these two statements you can club together. Instead of storing into some other variable, you are just printing, right? You can do that. Okay. So, but if I run it, okay, if I run this statement, what it has to print, our expectation is Ram has to be printed. If I run it, see null I'm getting. Similarly, if I call get last name, get last name, get last name also we are getting null. But we already set the first name and the last name, but we are still getting the null. Default values we are getting. The problem is whenever you use this notation, you always in the backend, always new object will be created. Okay, now when I call that method with get last name method, so I'm getting null for both. Okay, here there is no value assigned. Okay, one more object is creating it. Again, one more object without values it is creating when you try to call the default value, because these are the global variables. Default values assigned by your constructor. Those values you are getting. So that is the reason every time we give the reference. Okay, if I give reference, it directly go to that particular object memory, and in that object memory, it will do the operation. It will perform the operation. Let me save this image. Okay. So if you create the reference, what it happens is what happens is, so let me comment these two lines for your reference. These two lines also I will comment. So now, so let me create a fresh object. So this is the object is created that you are assigning to some reference variable. What is the type of the data? Again, it is a personal details. So now you assign that reference to PD. Okay, so here PD is assigned. So inside PD, you will assign the reference. When you use PD, it will directly come to this memory location. It will perform the operations on this particular memory location. Okay, so use reference instead of creating multiple objects. When you create multiple objects in the backend, what happens is memory will be wasted. Okay, number of object increases, size increases, your performance, execution performance will decreases. So that is the reason we have so many concepts in the Java to minimize the object creation, new objects creation. So we can do reusability more in Java. Okay, to minimize the memory occupation, to minimize the creation of more objects, we have so many concepts like inheritance. Like inheritance comes under that only, and also these local static instance variables also to minimize the memory. Okay, so now you can use reference, so it will go to that particular memory location and it will modify in that particular memory location. Okay, here what I'm doing is, okay, once I set the value, again I'm returning the same object. Same object means, so whatever the object we created, this object only we are returning, because this always points to the current object. The what is the current object? So whenever it is executing the statement, the current object, this one only, PD object only. Okay, so when you are returning, you are getting as a object, which means you are again getting the object, PD object only, PD object. Whatever the PD is holding, the same object you are getting. So now again, instead of using the reference, the object reference, what you can do is you can remove that PD and simply you can call like this. Okay, you are chaining the method, one method, and you are linked to another method. Okay, so this last name also returning the object, same object. So now you can call first name method or you can call last name method directly. Dot get first name you can use. When you call get first name, what it is returning? String it is returning, right? So now you cannot call get last name method because it is a string object. Okay, in string object, this method is not available. This is your method, which is there in your object, personal details class. Okay, if I call this, okay, this particular string will be written. First you set the first name, first you set the last name, and get first name. Okay, let me do one thing. Here I'm creating one more method, public void full name. I'm writing full name method. Display full name. Display full name. Okay, in the display full name, what I have to do is this dot get first name plus some space plus this dot get last name, which means first name it will come and last name, so it will become first name. When you use get first name, Ram, some space you are allocating, then commar will be come as this statement. Okay, if you want to print, you can print, or if you want to store into some string, you can store into the string because it becomes string only. Okay, instead of storing into third variable, what I'm doing is just I'm printing it. Just I'm printing this. Okay, so to represent full name, let me write full name. So now, instead of calling get first name, what I'm doing is display full name. Okay, if I call this method, I'm getting full name. What I'm getting? Full name. See how we are setting this chaining of methods. Okay, all these concepts we will use in the Selenium. Okay, that is the reason I'm explaining this chaining of methods. You can do one more thing. So here you are calling this, right? Okay, so let me take one more class. So there you will get understanding. Professional details. So here in this professional details, let me create two variables, string, string, job designation, job designation, and I will create one more company name. Okay, so let me create setters and getters. Okay, to create the setters and getters, we have shortcut Alt Shift S. Okay, so click on generate getters and setters. Select these two variables. See, these are access modifiers. If you want, you can do the, you can provide the access also. As of now, I am putting it as a public. Okay, so you have getters as well as setters. Let me maintain the order. So here, so here I'm writing one more method, public void get full details. Get full details. Okay, in full details, what I have to do? I have to display. I have to display my designation, company name. Along with company name, it also has to display all your personal details. Name, suppose if you have, so this is in personal details. So you have name and your name, full name, right? So along with that. So I want to, okay, I don't want to create other thing, just full name, designation, and company name. Okay. So when I call for personal details, it is giving, we have job designation and company name. So here, let me get those details to full details. So print this dot get job designation. Okay. So here again, print company name, get company name. So it will print designation and company name. So to identify easily, let me put some identifiers. So if I call this method, what it will do? So it will display the company name and job designation, and also in the sectors. So instead of returning void, return this. At least you understood this, right? So we can also return any type of class object, not only primitive data types. You can also return reference data types, non-primitive data types. Okay. So this is no. So in get full details, what I want to do is I want to display my personal details also. My personal details also I want to display with the get full details method. Get full details method. Okay, this is where it is, this display full name method, where it is available. It is available in the personal details. It is available in personal details class. Okay, so now how you can access this method into another method? Okay, there are two options. You can create the object inside this class, and you can call those methods and variables. But if I create the like object inside this method, what happens is one new object will be created. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So here you can call personal details like this. So with this, not only primitive data types, you can also pass the reference data types. Dot, you can call full name, display full name. Okay, display full name. So let me create one separate class. Okay, so like, are you following the concept? Are you on track or not?
Yes, Shiva, getting Shiva.
Getting right? So don't deviate from the track. Okay, you should be in the same page to understand this concept. Okay, it is very, very important in the real time. Okay, so now I'm creating one new class, that is chaining of methods. Chaining of methods. So here from the personal details class, what I do, so let me, okay, comment this main method. So in chaining of methods, what I'm doing is, here I create a object. Which object? Personal details object. Personal details class, pd equals to new personal details. Okay, new object will be created. That is fine. Okay, so you have setters and getters. Okay, with the help of setters and getters, what you can do, you can set the values. Okay, how we set the values? So let's take, so where are the, yeah, chaining of methods. I'm setting with the help of setters and getters. I already set the values. Okay, so what it is returning? It is returning the, it is returning object, object of this set last name, also returning the object of personal details. Okay, so before that, what I do is I will create a object for my professional details. Personal details object I created, and professional details also I'm creating the object. This is also PDF. Okay, so you can do. So this is personal details object. This is professional details object. So in real time, while you are writing any variable, okay, so give a meaningful name. Do not give like this PD, FD like that. Okay, give a meaningful name. Do not give some random name. Now, with this professional details, what I can do, I want to set my job designation. Okay, automation test engineer. Automation test engineer. And company name. Company name. So my company name, some TCS. Okay, so set company name. TCS. So this set company name, what it is returning? It is returning the like professional details object only. Okay, so inside that I have full details method. So here dot full details. Dot full details. Display full details. What is the method name we have in this professional details to display the? Okay, I think written this. Okay, fine. Get full details. Get full details. So get full details. What it is expecting? It is expecting the object of my personal details. If you go to professional details, it is expecting the object of your personal details. So what you can do is inside that. So when you run this statement, what it is returning, set last name is what it is returning. It is returning the personal details, right? Simply you can put this object here. Okay. Simply we can put this object here. Kalyan, can you remove this line?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so to clear this one, so we have shortcuts. So generally I don't use that. Okay, so if you have idea, you can remove it. Yeah. Okay, so here in get full details, I have to pass the object. Object of what? Object of my personal details. So when I call these methods or set first name or set last name, I am getting the object of my personal details object. Okay, that you can see here. This. Okay, this. And also this. Last name, it is returning the personal details object. So that you are passing to your get full details method of professional details. Okay, so now if you run, it will display all your full details. See, so this is called chaining of methods. Okay, so let me break this chain. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, so to understanding purpose, you can also write a statement like this. Okay, first you are calling set job designation, then you are setting the set company name, then you want to display full name of your full name. So this is called chaining of methods. This is one method that you are, with the help of that object, you are calling again one more method. It is returning professional details. You are calling this method. But inside this method, it is accepting object of personal details. Okay, through these two methods, you can get the object of personal personal details. Okay, so inside that get full details method, you are printing the full name method. You are calling the full name method. Okay, in real time, 99% we use this notation, chaining methods notation. So all developers uses chaining methods notation only. They will write inner like objects, so many inner objects. Okay, we have also write this kind of notation in our Selenium programming. Okay, so any doubt in this chaining of methods? It is very important in real time to write your code. Okay, are you able to understand this concept?
Shiva, can you show 3 classes?
Come again.
Can you show 3 classes? Professional details, personal details, and this.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, so this is the personal details. You have first name and last name. Okay, you have setters and getters. Setters to set the values to your variables. Getters to get the data of variables. So I have generated setters and getters, and I have assigned. I didn't assign anything. Okay, and also I have. It is closed by mistake. I clicked on close mark. Sorry. I will show you one more example. Okay. Using constructor, how we can initialize the object. So here we are directly passing the object, right? So in the same class. So instead of that, how we can initialize the object, that I will show you. So it is taking more time. So by mistake, I have closed it. Yeah, it is open. So we have setters and getters. Okay, display name with the display name method. So I'm just printing the display full name. Okay. So coming to professional details. So we have 2 variables. One is designation and another one is company name. Designation and company name. Again, setters and getters are common. And I have created one get full details. So inside that, along with the designation and company name, I'm calling the display name of my personal details. Display name of my personal details class. So it will display full name, and these two will print the designation and the company. Okay. So if you want to initialize, so here I don't want to pass this. I don't want to pass the personal details object through method. But still I want to call my display method. How I can do that? So you can make your method as static. Or let me do one thing. Same method I am writing. display personal details. Okay, display personal details, which means you have first name and last name, the same method. Okay, logic is same, just I'm giving the method name as different. So here in professional details, here I don't want to put this dependency. I'm removing this dependency. Okay, whenever you have static, you can directly call with the class name, right? Class name. It is asking to import that class. Change. Okay, so here this is personal details, right? Make it as public. So void. Okay, static. We should use static to access with the class name. Okay, so again, if you use static, you are getting. You should again make it as these values as static. Static methods you have to make. Instance method you cannot directly access to static method. Instance variables you cannot directly access in the static method. Okay, so let me remove static also. Okay, what I do is, okay, let me explain in another way. I don't want to pass this object, but still I want to call this display full name method. What you can do is, you can declare this class variable PD as your global variable. So now you can call PD.display full name. But here, before calling this method, so this should be initialized with object, right? So this object I will initialize with my constructor. This dot PD equals to PD. Okay. So now in my chaining of methods, if I want to create a professional details, I have to pass the object. Okay. Already I created the object, personal details object. This I pass here. Or what I can do is, I can remove this here. Okay, let me comment it forever. Okay, so let it be. I will call display details with. So it is the professional details we have, get full details method, same method. Okay, get full details only, but I don't want to pass any argument here. I want to pass this object to the constructor. Okay, you are initializing the value through the constructor. So like this also we can do. This is very, very important notation in Selenium we use. Okay, object you are passing to the constructor. That object will be assigned to your global variable. That global variable you can access across all your methods. Or you can make it a static and you can access in any static method or instance method. Okay, so if I run it, I will get the same output. Okay, so let me open our last output. What is the output? Go to console. Okay, it is removed. Okay, the same details will be printed here. The notation is same. So here in this method, you are passing the object. Here you are not passing the object, but you initialize the object with the constructor. If I run it, you will get the same details. See. Okay. So like this, we have to do the chaining of methods. So any doubt in this chaining of methods? So tomorrow I will start inheritance concept. So still we have to discuss access modifiers. In encapsulation, we have to discuss access modifiers, and also we have one more important topic. So let me open day one. It is taking this much time. So here in day one, I have explained. I think it's in day two. Yeah, day two class notes. Let me open. Oh my God. So what are all the things we can write in the class? Okay, till now we just discussed creating instance and static variables with name. With name only we discuss. Okay, so we can also create classes, static class with name, without name. Okay, interfaces with name, static interface or instance interface, enums we can create, right? So we are pending with access modifiers and also inner classes from the encapsulation part. Those you will not understand now. Once we complete the inheritance, there I will explain access modifiers. Once we complete the like polymorphism, after that you will understand how to write the inner classes. Okay, so those we will discuss later. Tomorrow I directly start the inheritance. Okay, so let me stop recording.